I'm going to just be straight up with people and just tell them exactly what I know. No beating around the bush, no holding back figures. I want to be right up front.
If you're testing in a population that doesn't have very much COVID, you'll get false positives almost half the time. That is, the person actually doesn't have COVID, they have something else, they may have nothing. You'll get false positives almost half the time. That is, the person actually doesn't have COVID, they have something else, they may have nothing.
I think this question is probably for Minister Elliott, actually. I know you've taken questions before about how we include positive COVID-19 cases and deaths, but with regards to the one that we unfortunately just read about, the young girl, the word from Toronto Public Health is that she died of health complications unrelated to COVID-19, but did test positive. So I'm just curious if you want to reiterate why that is being categorized. If it's unrelated to the COVID-19 positive, why it's being listed anyway.
In some cases, I'm not saying specifically with respect to this case, but in some cases there are situations where there are other pre-existing conditions that may actually be the cause of the loss rather than COVID. COVID is there, but may not have been the cause of death.
Technically, even if you died of a clear alternate cause, but you had COVID at the same time, it's still listed as a COVID death. So everyone who's listed as a COVID death doesn't mean that that was the cause of the death, but they had COVID at the time of death.
In recent years, the rise of suppressed information coming out of the Internet has broken the propaganda barrier put out by those striving to fulfill the Great Plan. Fortunately, due to current unfiltered information streaming from the Internet, the masses concerned enough about wanting to know the truth are now privy to what our world leaders and the tyrannical forces behind them have been up to since the 19th century BC. It is a fact that there is a strenuous effort by world leaders to destroy our present way of life. Knowledge has now erupted and has blown the lid off the secrecy of the Great Plan. The conspiracy is right there in plain sight for all to see, if you know where to look, even though they literally hide it right in front of your face. Therefore, collaborators are plotting a means to bring about censure of this specific type of information in the name of fighting domestic terrorism. The time is limited to use the Internet to fully and independently educate yourself along with others before the stream of free-flowing information is shut down, permanently. The truth will set you free, however, lies and deception have placed the masses into bondage. To be released from captivity, you need to unlearn many of the infectious and poisonous propaganda that has been fed to you throughout your entire life from organized religion, the political system, and more importantly, the mainstream media, all of which were put in place by the advocates of the Great Plan. Most people today suffer from what is called normalcy bias, also known as the ostrich effect. The normalcy bias causes smart people to underestimate or deny the possibility of ominous expectations, because it hasn't happened to them before. Sadly, they can't fathom awful events taking place in the future, and they don't take the appropriate measures to head off a coming danger, or at least prepare for it. Make no mistake, sinister forces are conspiring behind the scenes, are about to bring the end of the world as you know it. There are awful things coming soon, and there will literally be hell on earth. The Bible is specific with pinpoint accuracy regarding the end times with respects to a Luciferian satanic, one-world government that will rise and take over the world through the Antichrist. Whatever your personal convictions are, when it comes to God and religion, is not the issue here. Those ushering in the Great Plan agenda are following a specific outline foretold in biblical prophecy, is the paramount issue. The enemy is not a race or religion, but rather a satanic movement that encompasses the entire world and that affects each one of us, the Great Plan, aka the New World Order. For there exists an insidious and invisible evil all around us. It is all-encompassing, all-permeating, and it currently controls how we live our lives as humans, and how we will live them in the future. The people running the Great Plan agenda are the same people who have been steering humanity since the 19th century BC. A world orchestrated, manufactured, and shrewdly guided by the supporters of the Great Plan and the multinational corporations they control, influence your life as you know it. The products you eat, wear, watch, listen to, look at and are mesmerized and hypnotized by. Facebook, Google, Microsoft, Disney, Apple, McDonald's, Visa, Coca-Cola, Pfizer, right down to the globalist corporate conglomerates. The Great Plan consists not only of the controllers of these gigantic corporations, but by political think tanks and entrenched congressmen, doing the bidding of whatever special interests lobbyist can bribe him with the most. The mouthpiece of the Great Plan is the President of the United States, handpicked before any elections take place. He is put in place to sign executive orders that circumvent our elected Congress and subvert the Constitution, creating entities of doom like FEMA in order to override constitutional rights and freedoms, and to pass police state legislation like the Patriot Act, permitting them to legally wage war against those patriotic Americans who would oppose their plans. Welcome to the New World Order. At this moment we are living in its transitional phase from a planet of sovereign nations to a borderless one-world government controlled by the wealthiest and most diabolical people on the planet. To put it in simple terms, the New World Order is a corporate construct designed to overthrow humanity, which is the exact definition of fascism. Normalcy bias, or ostrich effect, grips people who when confronted with facts that are contrary to what they were taught to believe, or want to continue to believe, has been nurtured and conditioned from your birth by the educational system, society, and the mainstream media to shut down the mind's critical examination process so the people do not become critical thinkers. When it comes to certain sensitive or controversial topics, slides is a CIA term for a conditioned type of response which short-circuits a person's rational thinking process and terminates debate or examination of the topic at hand. For example, the mention of the word conspiracy often solicits a slide response with many people. After all, no conspiracies are real, right? Nearly all of humanity has been intentionally manipulated by the advocates of the Great Plan via corrupt governments, endless wars, rampant drug abuse, a never-ending economic roller coaster and immorality and degeneracy everywhere you turn in society. These are the intentional effects of the Great Plan New World Order agenda. Their ultimate goal is to corrupt the economies, governments and societies of the individual countries, causing them to self-destruct, and whatever's left at the end will willingly fall into the waiting hands of their savior, the one world government that will rise. Quote, Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, "None are more hopelessly enslaved than those who falsely believe they are free." Thank you for watching. If you are a critical thinker and wish to learn more, you can download a copy of Ominous Expectation 3rd edition. Ominous Expectations is an explosive and informative publication, revealing the underlying Great Plan, Agenda 21, known as the New World Order. This agenda has been in motion since 1954, however, comprehensive research reveals that the United Nations Agenda 21 dates back to the 19th century BC, King Nimrod's reign. The evidence contained herein further gives the reader a snapshot of what to expect in the near future, as we head towards the ratified agenda that is going to change the world as we know it. The contents in this publication are not a conspiracy theory, but rather, the aligning of political, historical, science and biblical facts coming together, concerning the egregious enslavement that has taken place for centuries. The publication further exposes the fraudulent system that has looted society of its wealth, in exchange for a valueless, fiat, currency, that is essentially nothing more than debt. This 263-page ebook includes over 1,500 pages of free downloadable documents, and hours of supporting video links on our private server available for viewing or download. You can obtain a copy of Ominous Expectations for the low cost of $9.95 by visiting Kyprios.ca, or by emailing us at pkaa@kyprios.com. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give us a thumbs up, and be sure to share.